Who are we going to talk about right now?
We've got Paul Taylor. Paul Taylor is probably best known for his work with Winger. He's a guitarist, keyboard player. He was on the two Winger albums that came out in the late 80s that were the blockbuster household name records with all the hits. And prior to that, he was in Alice Cooper's band as a touring keyboardist. He got his start, we learned, with Aldo Nova. I didn't know that. He did not play on Aldo's debut album, but he joined in time to tour and support that record.
Oh,
and
he was in the video.
He's in the video for Fantasy. Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was
that song.
That was his first taste of the big leagues, he tells us, as far as playing arenas and stuff like that as an opening band. And then later on, went on to work with Steve Perry from Journey. What a legendary vocalist. So a great career, sold a lot of records with Winger. Yeah. And you know what? He turned out to be a super, super sweet guy and uber talented. I mean, he plays almost every instrument you can throw at him. And I really enjoyed talking to him. I didn't have a lot of background on him. I didn't know what to expect from him personality-wise, but he came across as a really warm, genuine, sincere, humble guy. So it was a pleasure to have him with us at our booth at the RockNPod Expo.
I've been on a ton of cruises, with either Broken Teeth or Dangerous Toys, and Winger is usually there. There may have been only like one or two cruises that I've done where Winger wasn't on the, because these cruises that I'm talking about usually are mostly either the Shiprocked or Monsters of Rock cruise. And, it's almost obligatory to have, Tesla, Queensryche, Cinderella, or Tom Kiefer, right? Right. Winger, and John Corabi is always there. He's always there. John Corabi's like furniture. They call him the mayor on those cruises. They call John the mayor. So anyway, here's what I'm getting at is, like you said, I didn't have background on Paul other than his work with Winger. I learned so much in our short time with him in Nashville at RockNPod, and my jaw dropped a few times. But I do know this, that he is beyond a subpar musician. He is above all of that. The thing is you would never know it because he's so humble and real. He seems quiet to me, but see, I've ridden in elevators up and down, going to my cabin cruise and stuff. Hey dude, what's up? That's pretty much the only thing I've ever said to Paul, but yeah. I know who he is. He knows who I am. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. And getting to know him a little bit now, I feel like I could carry on a conversation at dinner with him, because I'm a fan of so much of his older, the things that he's been involved with. I probably could geek out at him at dinner. I'm sure he would not appreciate that, trying to eat a salad. And I'm going, dude, what was it like with Aldo Nova? Who you guys open for? Did you guys open for Kiss? They probably did. So I was saying earlier in our wrap-up, our RockNPod wrap-up episode, which should have probably aired before this one, I was saying, and I'll recall here, that I tried to give Paul this huge compliment because, Reb Beach and Rod Morgenstein, who was in the Dixie Dregs with Steve Morse, and, we're talking about musicians that, playing Rush songs is like sleeping to these guys. And I'm not saying anything about Rush. Rush are gods. Right. They invented prog metal. Okay, well, that says something about the members of Winger that I'm trying to talk about right here.
Yeah.
So anyone who an easy target if you got big hair and dancing around funny and, you're on MTV and you're singing about girls and stuff. That's if you're a headbanger and you're wearing a Mayhem shirt, Winger's an easy target.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think that enough time, we talk about this with Paul quite a bit, or more than once in the interview. So much time has passed that hopefully the people who were, for lack of a better term, somewhat ignorant, such as myself, I could wear that hat, knows a little bit more about songwriting and production and how that works and what it takes to write a good song that has emotional power and value. Paul can do it, and he can do it for 1,000 days and has done it and is doing it now. And I'm trying to give Paul this you'll see in the interview in just a second. I try to give him this big compliment, and he gives my compliment immediately to somebody else. And I think that you know who that somebody else. Who take us into the interview, Dave. What are we doing with Paul today? Where are we with Paul today?
No, I just wanted to add to something you said. One of the things I appreciated, because, the journalist in me just kind of feels obligated to ask them. Sometimes the questions are uncomfortable, but I feel obligated to ask. So I kind of asked him, how did it feel to be sort of the punching bag of Beavis and Butthead and all the metalheads that didn't take you guys seriously? But darn well, you guys are the best musicians in the room. That band, Winger, everybody on that stage, everybody in that band is a world-class musician. And he was very humble in the way he handled it and just rolled with the punches. Yeah,
you're saying you're saying a better version of mine. I appreciate you clearing that up. Here's another thing that has happened recently that I feel like Paul was kind of alluding to, is that in very recent, like over the past couple of months, I think, James Hetfield actually called Kip Winger.
Oh, yeah.
And said, hey, man, all that smack talking in the 90s and early 2000s that you guys were getting, that really sucks. And that was really small of us. And I just wanted you to know that you have my respect for being a pro about it, not like backlashing at any point. It's something like that. And I felt like that's what Paul's talking about when he says something like, enough time has passed that if you're not going to take out the garbage, you're going to live in shit.
Yeah.
So you don't get older being dumb.
Right.
So, you have to. And then some people, I think, commented on James's call to Kip Winger as some kind of 12-step program. That's what we're talking about. That's the ignorant asshole that we're kind of talking about, if I have to call you out. That's what we're talking about. So sure, it's you're saying it's bad to be sober, whatever it takes to be sober, whatever it takes for you to take out the garbage. If it means being sober, so be it. And hats off to anyone who is trying. It's a day-to-day struggle. I'm just turning this into a PSA a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. Take care of yourself. That's all I'm trying to say. And I like my version. You don't get old being dumb.
Yeah.
So,
well, we appreciated him being such a good sport and just a humble dude and talent beyond measure. So, he was gracious with his time. We were happy to have him. Paul Taylor on the Talk Louder podcast. Hey, what's up? It's Metal Dave and my co-host Jason McMaster from the Talk Louder podcast, coming to you live from RockNPod Expo in Nashville, Tennessee, where we're joined by Paul Taylor, our guest today. Paul
Hey guys,
Taylor.
What's up?
How are you, man? Thanks
I'm
for
doing
being
really
here.
good. This is my last one of the day, and it's good because I'm low blood sugaring out. So halfway through, I just keel over.
Yeah, you're our last of the day too. So maybe we'll all just collapse together.
Time for a beer.
Yeah, you need some barbecue, man.
Yeah. Well, man, thanks for being here. I got a funny story I got to tell you, first of all, before we get started. I have a copy of Alice Cooper's From the Inside album. It's been hanging in my house since about 1987, 85. and I had him sign it when he was on the Constrictor tour.
Oh, wow.
And it was an in-store in San Antonio, and you were in the band at the time.
I was in the band at the time.
Yes. Yeah. So I've had that autographed album hanging in my room, and I've looked at it for years. And obviously there's Alice Cooper's autograph, there's Kip Winger's autograph, there's Kane Roberts' autograph. And I'm looking at this other autograph for 40 years now, 35 years. And I'm like, I cannot for the life of me figure out who that signature belongs to.
That's funny.
And it's yours.
Is it mine?
It is yours.
Oh.
And because we have to tell people you were going by your given name, I guess, at the time.
Horowitz, yeah.
Horowitz,
But Alice called me Paul Horrors.
Yeah. Nice. That's even better.
And I was also from any town we played. He's like, from Brussels, like,
wow.
So every night I'd have to explain to a million people, no, I'm not actually from your town. Alice just likes to say that. So
well, I've had your signature hanging in my room for 35,
awesome.
40 years, and I had no idea. Now I know.
That's funny.
So, yeah, so mystery solved. So tell us a little bit about your time with Alice Cooper. I saw the Constrictor tour. It was my first time ever seeing Alice Cooper. And, I mean, how did you get that gig, and what was that experience like?
Well, as I told a couple of the other podcasters, I had produced a demo for Vane, and the girl that was managing them at the time, Kat Zardowski, sent this cassette everywhere because she's a super go-getter, and a woman in New York saw it and saw my name on there, and they had been looking for me because they had seen me at one point with Aldo Nova and went, oh my God, are you the guy that was with Aldo and that you play guitar and keys and can sing? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, we're trying to find somebody like you for Alice Cooper, and we don't have anybody else. So if you'd like to come down and audition, it's pretty much yours. So that's what I did. And, it was awesome.
Yeah. When you work with someone
that's
like
a good
Alice,
story right there. Right?
Yeah. And you mentioned Aldo Nova, and I want to go back to that. But when you work with someone like Alice, who has that massive stage production, it seems to me like it's just ripe for opportunities for something to go wrong. Did you ever have any mishaps on
big
stage?
Time.
Yeah.
Oh, the worst one, and it's actually really funny, and it's the only time I ever saw Alice break character. There was a part, and so we had the drums on a riser. Then on the one side, the band was up on a huge riser, and then I was on the other side of the stage by myself on like a 20-foot riser. And so there was this part in the show where Alice would creep across the stage, and there was supposed to be thunder noises, and he's lurking across the stage. Well, the guys on the other side's equipment went down, so all the techs ran over there, and the samples for the different sounds and stuff, effects, were in the sampler way down there, so they didn't change it. And so he's going across, and I was supposed to hit the thing, and it was going to be thunder noise. Well, the Schools Out samples were still in there, so I hit it. So it's like Schools out of nowhere, and Alice goes. He looks up at me, and I'm like. So afterwards, of course, I'm telling Alice, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't do it." And he's like, "I know, I was just messing with you, but."
That's a great one, man. And when that tour kind of was the genesis of Winger, I guess.
Me and Kip started writing this, pretty much immediately. When we went on the road, I'd heard some stuff of his, and I was like, "Oh my God, you wrote all that stuff, and that's you singing?" And I played him some of my stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we got to write." And so the minute we hit the road, first week we were out, we set up a little Insonic keyboard in a room in Sioux City, Iowa, and we wrote a song that's on the first record, State of Emergency, pretty much that day. So, wow. And then I was like, okay, we write good together. This is going to work,
Yeah.
Wow.
And you were on the first two Winger records, which were the most popular, best-selling ones. Why did you choose to end that partnership?
Well, by that point, me and Kip had been on the road in each other's faces for 6 solid years with no breaks, and I was just burning out. So we talked, and I was like, man, I'm going to go just write again, because my big passion is writing. So, and little did I know those guys were going to call it quits shortly after. But, and by then, my first writing thing ended up being with Steve Perry from Journey. So I started doing that, and those guys took a hiatus for a while, and I don't remember a lot of the sequences, how we all got it all back together, but I know that the real time when we finally started playing again was in 02, when Poison called us, and we hadn't been together. We kind of, the 90s, we couldn't get arrested. So, this in 02, they said, hey, if you guys want to put the original band back together, we'd love to have you out with us and Cinderella and Faster Pussycat. So we all called each other and went and did it. And after that, it was, okay, man, cool. And, it started slow, and there was times I would play with them and times I wouldn't. And for, over the last 10 years, there was a lot of times where Kip would go, dude, can you play just like the big shows? And, some of the smaller ones, we still weren't getting paid a lot. And, but as of the last years, everything's really taken off. And, a couple of years ago, he said, hey, man, it'd be great if you could just jump in full time again. So it's been great, man. We're having a ball out here, and just got the new record out, the new single, and it's our 35th year as a band, and we have all original 5 guys, and we all like each other a lot. So
yeah, and you're going out with Tom Kiefer?
We're going out with Tom Kiefer, who I played with as well. I was with Cinderella and Tom for about 5 years. So that's going to be like family time. And, and Winger and Cinderella did tons of dates together. Yeah. So we love playing with, each other on a bill.
I've seen you guys together. I've seen you with Tom.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And Tom, what a rock star. He's the best.
He's a songwriter.
Yeah. Man. Incredible. Tom's incredible.
Yeah.
How frustrating was it for you guys as Winger? Obviously a very successful band, but people threw a lot of stones at you guys, but you also were excellent musicians, like far and above a lot of the bands that were your peers at the time. So here you are, this insanely talented band. You're popular.
Dave, their drummer is Rod Morgenstein
from
the Dixie Dregs. Let me remind you that.
I know. No, that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So how frustrating was that for you to not be accepted by a certain audience when you had all this talent on?
It's frustrating. And, and more than frustrating, it's kind of confusing, because you know that you're some talented guys, and but we knew we also did have a good fan base as well, and so you just write it out. It's kind of like what Nickelback goes through now. It's not like that band can't write a good song, and they've got some great sounding records, and everybody in the world's got a Nickelback joke for some crazy reason, but you just write it out. In the end, it'll all work out. And lately, it seems like the days of all the mocking of Winger, those days seem to be disappearing quick. And some of the last, I remember I was just reading down when we had played that show in Key West last year. I had some time, we were flying and stuff, and I started reading a lot of the reviews, and God, it was just great. Everybody was just raving about our performance and how talented, so I was like, we're back.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And, some of the harder stuff like Beavis and all that, and the Metallica guys. Kip and the Metallica guys are talking now and have ironed all that out and are buds. And, everybody moves on and grows up, and it's all
I was
going
to say there's some adulthood happening finally.
Yeah. Well, with all the bands, we were all a bunch of cocky young guys, of course, that comes along with the gig, I guess. But these days we're just all grateful to be out there and playing, and, everybody's hugging everybody and going, oh my God, you're still alive, or you're still here. Or,
Yeah. So it's the little stuff, isn't it?
Right. You started the conversation. You mentioned Aldo Nova. I did not know that possibly your first taste of doing the arena circuit or whatever was Aldo Nova.
Totally with Aldo.
Wow.
So up until Aldo, I had only played maybe a 100 or 200 seat club. And in that first year, we played the Pasadena Rose Bowl sold out. It was us, Triumph, Blue Oyster Cult, and Journey on 4th of July.
Oh, man, that's a fucking show.
So that was quite a leap for me. I think I was just kind of a deer in the headlights up there going, holy crap, that's a lot of people.
And you're in the video for Fantasy, is that right?
I am, yeah. I'm playing in the video, and I'm also an extra in the video. So see if you can spot me walking. There's one thing I walked through with a girl. They're like, hey, where's that guy to do? And they're like, hey, you just do it. Just walk through there.
Did you get paid twice?
I wish.
Yeah. You also mentioned Steve Perry, and I wanted to ask you about that as well. How did that collaboration come about, and what was it like working with Steve, considered one of the great voices of rock and roll?
Oh my God, amazing! I still kind of pinch myself on that whole project and the tour that we did, and just great times. And Yeah, a friend of mine worked for Fan Asylum, and one night I said, "Hey, whatever happened to Steve Perry?" And she's like, "Funny you should ask. You know, he's been thinking of doing something." And I was like,
Yeah.
so
Waving frantically.
anyway, long story short, the next day he called me at like 6 a.m, and I'm not kidding, and just came over, and he's like, "Hey, Cindy said, we'd like to work on some stuff, play me some stuff." And so I played him a couple ideas, and then we ended up jamming. It was me and him and Terry Bozzio and this young guy, Lincoln Brewster, on guitar. And then we jammed the next week, and pretty soon it was just me, Lincoln, and Steve. And he started swapping out drummers and bass players, and way down the road, we ended up, me and Lincoln and Steve wrote most of the record, and we ended up with a phenomenal drummer, Moise Lucas Jr., and then we yanked in Todd Jensen, who's my buddy I played in Steve with, and I also played in Alice Cooper with Todd, and he's awesome, and now he's in Journey, of all things. So, yeah, and so it was great, and we went out for 2 months and toured, and some of the best memories of my music career, especially writing with him. I just...
Yeah, that's a feather.
It was unbelievable. And I learned a lot from Steve, how to, with melodies, and how not to be so wordy and just kind of float things over. And I feel very lucky that I got to work with him. Yeah.
I think the feather is bigger than the hat, when you can say you wrote with Steve Perry. Yeah.
So tell us real quick how you got hooked on rock and roll. What was the moment, the concert, the album, the television appearance? What was it that you looked and said, "That's what I want to do"?
Well, I'm one of those odd ones. Some of my friends are the diehard fans, or they'll be just this era or that era. I'm a total chameleon in how I write. I write a lot of Motown and R&B and blues stuff for TV, and a lot of programmed pop stuff. I mean, they used to call me and go, "Hey, we need something that sounds like Britney Spears or NSYNC." I program the crap out of that stuff. So I just like song. I'm a song guy more than the rock star thing or all that. It's fun playing in a band and rocking out, and but I'd be happy playing any genre that I loved, and that's like with the Steve thing. I mean, some of their stuff, especially like off of Raised on Radio, some of it was real funky and stuff, and God, I love all that stuff. And I love, I'm slowly, over these last months, I'm starting to record. People always go, "Dude, what would you write if you were just writing a Paul Taylor song?" So I'm going to start releasing some stuff. And the first one I'm doing, I just tracked drums with Ray Lazier. It's heavier than shit, or poop.
No, you're good with shit. You're good with shit.
All right, I don't know what I can say. Anyway, it's very, very heavy. And so I like everything, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'll just say this. You are probably the secret weapon in most or all projects, bands that you've ever been in.
Hey, can I use that one?
I don't know. You should have got paid twice in the Aldo video, because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know all the stones thrown at Winger just for being Winger and having great songs and with melody in them, and not being, metal. You know what I mean? Heavier torque. I think that it takes time for them to realize the level of musicianship that it takes to be able to write a song like that, instead of just loud tanks rolling by that sounds like war going on.
Yeah. So, some of the compositions, and I mean, Kip is largely responsible for a lot of that, his mind, the way his mind works. And, I don't know if you've heard any of his symphony stuff, but it's unbelievable. Wow. And he's currently working on a string thing for their lead violinist, which is why we're only doing sparse shows through January, February, March. He said, "Guys, I need to finish this." So, the Nashville Symphony performed his symphony that he wrote for them about 5 months ago.
Holy shit.
I had goosebumps. He got standing ovations every night. It's unbelievable. And then it kind of spills over into our bands. Some of the stuff that seems like on some of the songs that I don't write, and then we'll go to Adam into the set, and I'll go, "Okay, yeah, we'll learn this stuff." And I go to learn it, and I'm like, "Holy crap, this is a lot harder than it seemed like," because he'll leave like one beat out of the second verse, and he changes the lyrics on each chorus, and some of the songs are a lot trickier than they seem like. So cheers to Kip. I mean, he's a seriously talented I can easily say he's the most talented guy I've worked with in the music business.
Wow.
I mean, if you look at the body of work he's come out with, from Get Jack, his musical for New York, to his solo records, to all the Winger stuff, I don't know how he does it.
Wow.
But his work ethic is unbelievable.
Well, the crown that you just gave Kip, I was trying to give to you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm passing the torch.
Yeah. And you know what? That's okay, because it goes to what I was saying, that a lot of headbangers, I mean that serious, who don't know the talent and the songwriting capabilities of the members of Winger, which you have been among many more. They don't know until now, and maybe that's why we're getting along now.
Well, and a lot of times, these days we get, and look, I mean, if I was somebody that didn't know much about the band and I just saw, 17 come, I go, she's only, heard it a million times. I'd probably do the same thing, but so many times, every show, we have tons of people coming up going, oh my God, had no clue what you guys really do, So we get it. I mean, it's, it's all good, but I think it's really turned around now. And I think everybody's getting their due respect, and it's all, we're having a blast. So it's all that matters,
Well, you've earned it. I'll say that.
Thanks.
Much like Jason said, sort of an unrecognized talent maybe in the bands that you've been involved in, but your music speaks for you. And
thanks, guys.
And we're glad that you spent some time with us speaking on behalf of your music and getting to know you, man.
Absolutely. Could I just add that, this is going to be a very heavy touring year for us. So come check us out. Go to wingertheband.com, and our tour dates are on there, and they're changing a lot right now because they're still adding stuff. So, hey, when we're coming to your town, come check us out.
Yeah.
And for all the people that go, how come you're not coming here? How come we can't be everywhere? So I got to start telling people, get on a plane, do what we do, and you come to us for once.
So aren't you doing a John Corabi Winger Tom Kiefer tour? Right?
Yeah, we are. We're doing that. We're really looking forward. Since I played with Tom all those years, and and Winger and Cinderella, we're always out on the road together. Yeah. That's going to be a blast. I can't wait to do that one. And we're doing the UK with Steel Panther, and we got some other things that we're trying to line up with some other bands, and we'll be in Australia, and we're trying to add Japan onto Australia in September. So it's going to be a busy year.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
You're welcome, man.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Paul.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Paul
buddy.
Taylor on the Talk Louder podcast. Thank you, sir.